Mike's morning newsletter, which you should be getting. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Hi, good morning. And you're better after yesterday's victory over the Ravens?
I am so good. I am so good. That was a terrific win, and I think we're obviously going to the Super Bowl. And it's a little
Ah,
bit of a solve because the Indians got eliminated due to injuries and the injury bug, but the Browns are going all the way this year. I like it. Let's go right to impeachment. Summarize the weekend. I've told the audience what I think. What do you think happened this weekend? What's the lead in Axios AM about impeachment?
yes, the lead of Axios AM is the president going into the week with a Civil War rhetoric. And something that's changed from the last impeachment as the president gears up for the third biggest battle in the history of the building, the third biggest political battle. He's going in without a war room. In Axios AM, we say the president going to war without a war room. You remember the traditional structure from the Clinton war room. Lanny Davis out there on television every night, 12 people in the White House war room behind them, 6 of them lawyers. As we saw with the president going out and loosely quoting this Dallas pastor, this president is going to be driving the message himself, and it's going to be in the moment. It's going to be improvisational.
Now, I do believe that is a danger to the president. That exactly something I wrote to a friend last night. He needs to hire a head of a special counsel team. White House counsel Cipollone, very competent, but you need someone focused always and everywhere on impeachment, and you need to hire a special communications director, as Lanny Davis was, every and always on message about impeachment, and meet with them often, delegate to them completely. It's good if both of them can be lawyers, so everything is privileged, even if executive privilege is pierced. But any sense that he's gearing up that way?
No, of course, as a problem with this White House has been the thin talent. The White House never staffed with the quantity or the quality that people would like, and the president now is going into a massive battle that requires a lot of resources. Now, Jay Sekulow, the president's private lawyer, told me, well, we did the same thing with Mueller, and we won. But what Lanny Davis points out to me is that Robert Mueller was going in with the principle that taking the Justice Department view that a sitting president can't be indicted. House Democrats, of course, are going in with the opposite assumption.
Oh, the House Democrats are going in with a preconceived conclusion. In fact, on Meet the Press yesterday, Adam Schiff was on, and here is what he said to open the conversation. Listen to the conclusory statements in this, and you'll get to my conclusion as to why Schiff is recused. He should not be involved in this. Cut number one. Conclusion after conclusion. Cut number one.
Investigation. How your investigation is about the specifics of what the president did with the aid, with Ukraine, with Rudy Giuliani, and how much of your investigation is about the attempt to keep that from you?
Well, I think really the gravamen of the offense here is the president using the power of his office to coerce a foreign nation into helping his presidential campaign to once again interfere in our election, and at the same time withholding foreign aid that country so desperately needs to fight off who? The Russians. That to me is the most serious constellation of issues, and I know that many people have suggested, and it may have been true in the past, that the cover-up is the bigger crime. Sometimes the cover-up is the easier crime to prove. But here, yes, the cover-up is very serious, but I don't want to lose sight of that fundamental breach of the president's oath of office, the duty to defend our country, our Constitution. And here, the president is once again not just inviting, but coercing a foreign nation to get involved to try to help him in yet another presidential election. So to me, that's the most serious.
That is so, Mike. That's conclusory. He said coercion happened. He said that a cover-up happened. He said the president has been caught that withholding foreign aid to get what he wanted. Can we trust Adam Schiff to have an open mind about anything? If Zelensky himself shows up with 20 bishops, as we used to say in law school, and said, I was not coerced, it won't matter to Adam Schiff.
Well, Hugh, as you know, this isn't a civil prosecution, isn't a normal prosecution where an open mind is required. This is a political process, as you know, and that's why you're right that you need to have both sides be armed going into this.
Well, here's Doris Kearns Goodwin on the same panel with me. She was my professor long ago, and here's what she said about the key observation that will unfold in front of us. Cut number 10 on Meet the Press yesterday.
Well, when I look back at the 3 impeachments that I've lived through, I really only was there for Nixon and Clinton, but I feel like I was there with Andrew Johnson. The critical thing is, how is history going to regard what the House is doing right now? Will it be like Nixon, that the consensus will be afterwards that they had to do this because he had to be held accountable? And in the end, Republicans came along, and in the end, Ford says our long national nightmare is over. Or will it be like Clinton, regarded as a partisan endeavor that boosts Clinton, in that case would boost Trump, and doesn't lead to a discussion? And the real challenge, I think, is the debate within the way they're going to conduct these hearings. They can't just throw around words like abuse of power or violation of oath. They have to explain. It has to be a giant civics lesson to the country to understand why are these things such that these people had to feel the need to try and impeach him now before the election. And that's the story that has to be told. You have to be able, just like these people are talking to you, if they're successful in making it clear that they think he should be impeached, somebody has to be able to tell a story to the person sitting next to them in the bar that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This is why it had to be done. If they can't do that, and then it simply goes away and it's part of the Russian investigation, the country is going to be more divided than ever before.
What do you think, Mike? I think she's right, and I think that the Democrats have already flunked that test.
Well, and Doris Kearns Goodwin makes a fantastic point that she's lived, and that is the power of story. And Hugh, think about this. In 6 days, the Ukraine narrative did something that Mueller couldn't do in 2 years. It was Thursday, 10 days ago, on the front page of the Washington Post, that there was the first story saying the president had made a, quote, promise on a call with a foreign leader. Then very quickly after that, we learned that it was Ukraine. That was Thursday's front page. Tuesday, Nancy Pelosi is on global television announcing a formal impeachment inquiry. This was something that people could understand, could explain, could repeat. And so Doris Kearns Goodwin makes a great point for both sides going forward. Who is going to have something that is believable, plausible, credible? And Hugh, I know that you have an opinion about who is winning on that so far.
I do. Cut number 11. This is me after Doris said what she said on Meet the Press yesterday. Cut number 11.
I want to pick up on something that Professor Kearns said, which is
He was my student.
I was her student.
I told you
she
I
was
was
like
older
10.
than everybody.
She was like 10. But the most important thing that was said this morning thus far is Adam Schiff came on and he went full Alice in Wonderland, Queen of Hearts. Verdict first, trial later. I believe he destroyed his credibility this morning on this show as a fair arbiter of this process. The key other thing about is there enough time, is there a middle? That middle is tired of investigating President Trump. It has gone on for 2 years, and the most interesting part of the Nancy Pelosi decision to go for a fast impeachment is the implicit but very real concession that the Mueller report had no impeachable offense, no obstruction, no collusion. It's gone. They have erased it from the record. So Adam Schiff is biased, and Nancy Pelosi has admitted that Mueller exonerated Trump.
So, Mike Allen, I don't know how anyone can conclude otherwise. I believe everyone's mind is made up. No one will be influenced by whatever they do, the circus of the next 4 weeks. And Chuck speculated we will have a House vote and an impeachment article by Thanksgiving. Is that what you're hearing?
I know that Democrats are trying to have that fast timetable, but as you know, something this White House has been successful at has been flummoxing Democratic investigations. I will tell you, Democrats will tell you, they were surprised. They were caught flat-footed by how brazen the White House has been in just saying no to these investigations. And it actually has got to work. And that's why this may not go as quickly as people think. But one quick point, Hugh, about the middle that you were talking about there. For people who are trying to make the argument to President Trump that this could ultimately help him in a very narrow political sense. And Hugh, don't kid yourself. The president knows what this does to him in history. The president knows that this is bad. But if you're trying to figure out the political argument for how this is going to play out, one thing they point out to is those apolitical suburbanites, a group that the president actually has had a lot of trouble with, are exactly the people who will not like the impeachment process. You want Democrats more talking about health care and other kitchen table issues. So that's the risk for Democrats. This is looking less true all the time, but I was doing a panel with a Democrat last week, and I said to them, my first question to them was, what are the chances the Democrats ultimately regret this? And that is if they become too associated with an unpopular process.
I think you're onto something, Mike, because I believe it is a sham. I have always been an institutionalist. I've always supported the Mueller probe, said leave him alone, leave the whistleblower alone now. But I believe the argument that this is an illegitimate coup attempt is growing and gaining strength because it followed on the failed Mueller investigation, and there is no there. Mike Allen from Axios. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Allen. Thank you, my friend. I've got to go a little bit early today because Alliance Defending Freedom, it is our annual